So that's really how our seminars start. And then we get into, and of course you've seen some of our hiker videos on YouTube and Vimeo and stuff like that. I mean, we get into some insane force on force stuff, but that's not for everybody. I mean, people would come in, I used to have a gym with a professional ring in it, octagon, all sorts of stuff. People come in and they see it and they're like, holy shit. And I could see the fear in their eyes and the body, that trepidation. And I'd look at them and I'd say, that's not for you. Don't even think about that. You're coming to the cerebral self-defense course. You're going to learn about this. And if you ever want to go in there, it'll be your choice. And then there are people that would walk in there and go, oh, my God, you got an octagon. Wow, can I get in there? And I'd say, well, you're going to get your ass kicked if you don't have some basic tools to learn to jump into this class. So as a good coach, as a mentor, you got to know what people want. But Mike, the second somebody says, I'm here because I travel a lot, or I'm going to Europe, or I was almost attacked, I'm here for real self-defense. I mean, we all started off for self-defense, and then, then we bought a cool gi, and then we learned musical form, and then we started collecting butterfly knives and nunchakus, and none of that helped us in real self-defense situations.
Right.
Went off somewhere else. Yep, I got a son who threw me that water, and I've got he's 18 now, and he's taller than me, and I've got two daughters, a 12-year-old, no, she just turned 13, and an 8-year-old. Do
they all learn self-defense from you?
Through osmosis. My daughter off and on does jiu-jitsu and some kickboxing. My son is trained. In fact, my son's trainer for several years is George St. Pierre's private coach for us up in Montreal. So we used to live in Montreal. So he trained there, and we were just talking the other day about getting down. And it was funny. Where my office is in near San Diego, we bumped into Rob Garcia, who is Oscar De La Hoya's boxing coach, and he's doing stuff with MMA guys, and he trains out of an MMA club down here, and we were just yakking about getting in there, getting the high gear in there, because we were just doing some stuff with BJ Penn and Machida and Anderson Silva, and it's cool. So they're not forced to do it, but I think they've been around, some incidents lately, and some other stuff that they've seen where I wasn't there, and they handled the stuff like they've been training all the time. So I think, just being around it their whole life, they think tactically and strategically. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, and probably strategically as a dad too, forcing them into anything that you're doing is probably not the right way to go. Just make it a choice for themselves.
Exactly. Well, I told them, you can do whatever you want, but you're going to learn how to punch somebody in the throat at some point.
Right.
They got to be able to stun and run and get the hell out of there. I actually sketched that out in like 1990, 91. I was in Nashville at a buddy's house. He brought me out. This guy, Rick Brown, we've stayed in contact since then, and that's how many years ago is that? 23 years or something. But and he was really interested in my stuff. We went out there and we did some private training, and in between training sessions, I was sitting there because we were just banging on each other. But if you've ever seen my original Panic Attacks at Panther Productions, Century bought Panther Productions, but back in the day, some people listening to the show probably weren't even born then. But we did these videos for Panther, and what we did is multiple assailant stuff, crazy out of the box. But we were using like hockey equipment and baseball equipment, and it was Frankenstein gear. And one of my students actually said to me one day, "Hey, one day we should come out with our own line of gear." This is like 1987. I'm 27 years old, and I'm going, "Yeah, Dan. And if I was taller, I'd play basketball." And how do you come up with a line of gear? What are you talking about? Now, he was an engineer student, so it was natural for him to think about design, right? So he said, I don't know, it's just something, because we use all this equipment. And so shortly thereafter, I was in Nashville doing the seminar, and I was sitting around, and I just find myself, I used to draw when I was younger, so I found myself sketching what I thought would be a fighting suit. And it wasn't like Red Man or Fist or the Hitman or the Bullet Man. It was really streamlined, and it was pretty amazing. It was when we finally did it, we had the designers from CCM Hockey up in Montreal come in, and they had bought all the competitors' gear, and there's all this big bulky gear. And they said, this is what we have, and we can use foams from equestrian sports, and we can have this padding here. And I said, guys, no, time out. I don't want big fat gear. I want as streamlined, as thin as possible. In fact, I wanted to have an impact reduction property. If you get hit with it, I want it to hurt you. So there's pain management and there's fear management as a byproduct of the training. And they looked at each other like I was an idiot. They're like, well, you put on padding to protect you from impact. I said, I want the padding to redirect the impact, but I want, what we do is we really practice fighting in a synthetic, organic fashion. It's different than, it's got way more edge than sparring, but it's not cooperative padding, so they had no clue. They weren't fighters. And I said, I need us to feel the impact. And so we went through 5 or 6 prototypes where we made the foam smaller and lighter and smaller and lighter, so that when you nailed it, you got hit. So it actually encouraged or supported the need to flinch sometimes in a fight and do like real natural thing, because you didn't feel like you had like this aqualung scuba diving shit on that you could just and you see that in a lot of the people who make fun of high gear obviously have never been in it, and some of those people who had those other suits have bought it and returned it because it hurt, and I'm like, duh, right, and Bruce Lee said if you're going to swim you're going to get wet, and so I don't understand people. You put it on and now you can practice elbows and headbutts and eye rakes and knees, but you're going to feel the stuff. So you maintain the speed integrity, but you back off on the power. Because, I mean, if I put it on and you punched me as hard as you could in the face, you might not bust my nose, but you might give me whiplash or pinch a nerve in my neck or knock me out. And you don't want to do that to you don't need, brain disorders and whiplash, shit like that. So really, it was tantamount to, the guy who invented boxing gloves. I mean, boxing matches, they never used to have gloves. They used to be, fights were 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 rounds. And I'd say to people, why do you think, and people are so clued out as to the history and the origin of stuff, I'd say, why do you think boxing matches would last 100 rounds in the day? And they're like, was it because they didn't know how to hit, or because after you hit somebody's forearm, elbow, top of their head 2-3 times? Could you ever punch a bag without any gloves on and miscue and just tweak something in your hand?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, you can't punch after that. Your hand kills. It's like a sprain hurts more than a break. So those fights used to last that long because you'd hit somebody and you're punching bone on bone. Your hands would swell up. You'd be spraining and bruising your hand. They lasted 100 rounds because you weren't hitting hard.
Yeah.
Because so people think gloves were invented to protect your face. They were invented to protect your hands. And so, the metaphoric invention of high gear was to allow you to fight harder, faster, meaner, more realistically. But if you slammed into a wall or fell over a chair or did something in a real scenario, you were buffering and diffusing some of the impact so that you could do it. But so yeah, it's cool. I mean, we've been selling it for years. I sold the company last year, and we're still obviously their biggest distributor and endorser of it, because I just wanted to focus on training. I mean, I love the training, not manufacturing stuff.
Right.